everybody. Are we ready? Here we go. Today is Tuesday, May 19th, 2020, and I would like to begin regular session at 5 p.m. for the Howell Township Council regular meeting agenda. Can we call it to order?
Let the minutes reflect that adequate notice of the holding of this regular meeting of the Howell Township Council was provided for in the following manner: by the posting of a copy of said notice upon the bulletin board in the Township Municipal Building on January 8th, 2020, by the emailing of a copy of said notice to the Asbury Park Press, Tri-Town News, and Star Ledger for information and publication on January 8th, 2020, by the filing of a copy of said form of notice in the Township Clerk's office on January 8th, 2020. The public will be allowed to participate electronically pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Law. The public is reminded that civility and decorum will be maintained during the meeting. Any contracts awarded at this meeting or between now and the next meeting will be required to comply with the requirements of Public Law 1975, Chapter 127, NJAC 17:27. In accordance with the Fire Prevention Code, be advised this facility is designed with emergency exits for your safety. Upon exiting the meeting room, they are to your left and to the right. Please take note that this meeting is being live streamed and videotaped for possible future broadcasts on Howell Television. Mr. Bonovich?
Present.
Ms. Richmond?
Present.
Mr. Russo?
Here.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Here.
Mayor Berger?
Present. I would like to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence for all the lives that have been lost during COVID-19, as well as the support that we have from all of our responders and first responders.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody.
Mayor, if I can interrupt real quick, I'm being advised by IT that there's some feedback from one of the mics. If you could just make sure your mics are pointed from the ceiling. Thanks.
Is that good? Better?
I'll let you go.
Okay.
The air conditioning.
Could be. I would like to have a motion for the minutes for May 5th, 2020.
I'll make a motion to approve the May 5th, 2020 minutes.
A second.
Mr. Bonovich?
Yes.
Ms. Richmond?
Yes.
Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes. At this time, we have 3 proclamations that I would like to, they will be read. The first one, the 3 are the National Public Works Week, National EMS Week, and Brain Cancer Awareness Month. Councilman Bonovich?
All right. Office of the Mayor, proclamation, National Emergency Medical Services Week, May 17th through the 23rd, 2020. Whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, the member of the EMS teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And whereas this year's theme, EMS Strong, Ready Today, Preparing for Tomorrow, aims to increase awareness of the dedication of those who provide the day-to-day services of medicine's front line. And whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. And whereas the EMS systems consist of emergency physicians, emergency nurses, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, firefighters, educators, administrators, and others. And whereas the members of the EMS teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. Now, therefore, Mayor Teresa Berger of the Township of Howell does hereby proclaim the week of May 17th to 23rd, 2020 as Emergency Services Week.
Councilman.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to read this proclamation in honor of former Mayor Bob Walsh, who we lost this year. Whereas brain tumors, and this is for Brain Cancer Awareness Month, May 2020. Whereas brain tumors do not discriminate. Primary brain tumors, those that begin in the brain and tend to stay in the brain, occur in people of all ages. but are statistically more frequent in children and older adults. Whereas brain tumors are the second leading cause of cancer-related deaths in children under 20, second leading cause of cancer-related deaths in males aged 20 to 39, fifth leading cause of cancer-related deaths in females aged 20 to 39. And whereas each year approximately 40,000 people in the United States are diagnosed with a primary brain tumor. Whereas the diagnosis of a brain tumor is the start of a life-altering journey and no one expects to take. This can involve surgery, extensive treatment, and side effects, as well as feelings of fear and uncertainty. Whereas doctors and scientists are working hard to making strides in their mission of advancing the understanding and treatment of brain tumors with the goal of improving, extending, and ultimately saving the lives of so many impacted by a brain tumor diagnosis. Now, therefore, be it resolved, Mayor Teresa Berger and the Township of Howell, on behalf of the Township Council, do hereby proclaim this month, May 2020, as Brain Cancer Awareness Month in the Township of Howell, and encourage increased awareness and support education and research. And I also read this in honor of Jake Honig as well, Mayor.
Thank you.
Proclamation National Public Works Week, and I'd like to add that I think Howell has a pretty darn good Public Works Department. Our guys are out there, Paul Novello and his guys, so thank you for everything you do. And whereas Public Works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of the Township of Howell. And whereas these infrastructures, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public work professionals, who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and the children in the Township of Howell to gain knowledge of and to maintain a progressive interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas 2020 marks the 60th annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association. Now, therefore, I, Teresa Berger, Mayor of Howell, Township of Howell, does hereby proclaim the week of May 17th to the 23rd, 2020 as National Public Works Week in the Township of Howell, and encourages all citizens to recognize the substantial contributions that our public works personnel make daily, protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you, everybody. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, at this point, then, I guess there's discussion throughout council, right? We have our, so there was one thing that I wanted to bring up, and I'm not sure if it goes here or under discussion, but I wanted to talk about the sidewalk ordinances that were put on after the preliminary agenda came on, and after, I believe, we had a discussion at this dais that said if it was an emergency situation, it can be put on between the preliminary and the final, but if it was not emergent or an urgent situation, that we were going to put it to the next meeting so that everybody could look at it and review and try to investigate whatever that ordinance or resolution might be. We agreed at this table, so please, could you explain why between Friday and Monday there was this put on? Is it an emergent situation?
If I could ask.
I'm sorry, the other one was emergent because it was considered COVID-related. So I'm wondering.
If I could ask Deputy Mayor to comment on that. She was the one that requested it. I did point out the direction of the council from the past.
Yes, you did. At the last planning board member, a sidewalk issue had come up with a private citizen. As the Class 3 member, it's my responsibility to bring those things back to the council that are affecting positively and occasionally negatively on the public. I asked for this resolution or this ordinance to be put on. It was put on yesterday. does not need to be acted on this evening, but I thought it was important enough that we have the opportunity to see it today and until the next meeting. As in this particular case, in my opinion, last Thursday night, the sidewalk ordinance was an undue burden, in my opinion, to a private resident. When we originally did this ordinance, there was a strong correlation to businesses being compliant for safety, health, and well-being. So in an effort to bring this to some kind of a focus, this was my intent. Although zoning and planning boards both have the opportunity to waive the sidewalk issue, often when they waive, they tend to immediately think that the fund should be supplemented by the applicant. When it comes to a private citizen, I'd like to think that we are looking out in a different mindset for the public. So that was my my request, to have this looked at, redone, and put on. I have no issue, of course, this is not an emergency, although I think it does rise to the level of importance, especially to the public, that we can look at it at the next meeting. So now we'll have, what's the, June 9th is the next meeting, I believe? So we'll have a good 2 weeks to digest it.
Well, I mean, if there was an original ordinance, if there's an original ordinance or anything original that's going to be changed, I personally would like to see the red line, the black line, the blue line, however you color your line, but I don't think it's fair to send out something that's been upgraded without even knowing what the original one was.
Well, it is there, and it's lined. So, I mean, it's not an emergent, but I think all the information that you just raised is there, and
Then forgive
it's
me for that.
identifiable.
Well, I would say that I would like to read it. I need time to read it.
Sure.
Certainly didn't have the time overnight.
Sure, that's why I said
Even
at the
if I
next
wanted to
meeting.
read it.
Yeah, obviously.
Thank you.
So,
John, good.
Yeah. Please.
This was added yesterday. To be honest, I mean, I like the sidewalk trust fund. I do, I like having money in a kitty where there's sidewalks on the other side of town and we could fix them up with this trust fund. I would like to get some information, and Joe, maybe, or Brian, in the last year, we passed this ordinance last May, I believe.
Yes.
So how much money and how many times has this come up in the last year to the planning board?
Twice.
So
Once-
twice in
yeah.
1 year.
Well, twice with a business, and to the best of my knowledge,
So-
once with a citizen.
So maybe there's a way, rather than striking this ordinance, to add a clause to the ordinance. It only came up twice. Maybe add community development to it to look over it or something like that. Because I do like the trust fund. I do.
And of course, I'll ask Joe then to maybe just write some backup. In this specific case that I referred to, it's Merrick Road, extremely rural. So that was really the origin of it for me as the Class 3 member of the planning board. But, all the backup information can come forward. Like I said, it's not an emergency. I just felt that we really needed to look at this again, whether we strike the old, bring in a new.
And
A rural resident, rural is much different than businesses on Route 9. But, I mean, I don't want to belabor the point. All that information can be brought forward before the next meeting. I just thought it was important enough to bring it forward quickly. And as I said, don't need to make a decision on it today or tomorrow. But, we'll just give it our due diligence and work through it.
yeah, I would like to look at it and see how much money we're talking about. And basically, if we could add a clause, Joe, and not lose that trust fund, I'd like to look into that.
We won't.
Sure, I'll take a look into it, and I will tell you right now that I think there's been 2 waivers over the past year, one for a business, one for an individual. I think the business was then deposited about $8,600 into the trust, the individual about $3,400. So I think the total value of the trust right now over the course of a year is about $13,000.
And this ordinance was put in place also to, I guess, remove favoritism during the planning board, because some people got a waiver, some people didn't. It was like potluck. So, I mean, that's kind of how I look at it.
Well, I sit on the planning board, and I don't see it that
Yeah.
way.
And even oddly enough, I saw the chief today, and he actually thought it was a great idea. He sits on the planning board. And I know, the mayor, you had given your seat to Mr. Dorado, I think, and you have never heard that about this sidewalk issue from the time we passed it till now? I'm just asking, because this is... I'm not-
It's a year, and we had it 2 times. I'm just saying if there's
Yeah, I
a
don't know
way,
if that's a lot, not a lot, I mean,
if there's a way to
but-
still save that trust fund and create a waiver system, another layer.
I mean, the other part of it too is I know you're saying, emergency add-ons, whatever, due to COVID, but people are looking for us to be fiscally responsible with their money. So I think this was something that happened Thursday, and today is only Tuesday, so there's really no issue of transparency, but that's just the way the calendar fell when
So-
this was an issue at the planning board.
I hear what you're saying, but if the planning board had the meeting, right? And then the planning board or a member of the planning board brings a new ordinance to here.
Right.
To set over. Now, look, lawyer, you tell me, are you going to just go ahead and vote on something that you truly don't know the origin from, the background from?
Well, as an attorney, it depends. No, I'm just saying,
Okay,
it
but it's
depends.
not a
No,
slam dunk, and I think it's reasonable to ask for more time to review the document and more time to review this one applicant from the planning board to see what the actual issue is.
Absolutely.
No, that's fair.
And again, I said it wasn't
I tried to be
emergent.
fair.
So, Mayor, hold on, I actually also sat on the planning board, I could tell you, John, it's not potluck. These were case-by-case basis. We spent a lot of time seeing, where the actual building or house is located, if it's off 33, if it's off of a rural road, so a lot of work did go into that. I do have a question for Brian or Joe.
Wait, is this just about this?
Just about this.
Okay.
Brian or Joe, Joe, you said that, between the two applicants, $13,000 you're talking about?
Correct.
Okay. And do we know anything about this? Because I wasn't at the planning board meeting, the structure of this individual, was it a house or was it a garage?
That's what we just asked for, Tom.
Well,
Well,
honestly,
I just want to see if Joe, did you know about the?
I don't know off the top of my
Okay,
head.
okay.
I mean, honestly, when this would have come up, I would have given the history. But I don't think it needs to be done now, because it would have taken me 5 or 10 minutes to give all the information pertaining to this. That probably
I
would have answered all
understand.
the questions.
I respect what you're
But-
saying, but
So-
we put something in place last meeting because it was a little chaotic, and so we tried to bring it back. No, wait. We agreed, and we said emergency. When it became a COVID-19 related emergency, we pushed it forward. So I don't want to go back on that.
I would say we've had this argument
Multiple times.
over the last year and a half, and I would say the day before, it's not fair to the public. It's not fair to us. It's not
Exactly.
fair to me. It's not fair to you.
As I
And
said, this was out there yesterday. I'm not asking for
So I guess the
a
discussion
blunt-
is to pull it.
Yeah.
Is the-
So I'm just asking you to review it for the next meeting. You have all the
Absolutely.
information. That's fair.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay. I want to say I visited the parks. There's a lot of work going on. There was one lady, man, she was a little nutty. She was so funny. She was like, oh my God, this is going to be great. This is going to be fabulous. She was like so animated. It was really cute. But anyway, so we toured around. When are they going? Did they start again today or yesterday to complete the playground areas?
Pride Park, I think.
There's several parks that have been worked on.
Yep.
Sorry, I have that in my report. They've been working for the last 2 weeks. So far, equipment has been installed at Soldier Memorial Park, Deerwood Park, Pearl Drive Park, and Winston Park. They're continuing installations at Pride Park, Ardena Acres, Tioga Park, and Ramtown Manor Park over the next 2 weeks.
So when do we anticipate Phase 2 to start?
I guess I could answer that. Pam could probably answer that. There's plenty of phases. Phase 2 is more of adding basketball courts, maybe a skate park or gaga courts. And Phase 1 was
what?
just
A what?
Gaga court.
Yeah,
It's like dodgeball. It's pretty cool.
Oh, okay.
because John's request.
Yeah. So Phase 1 was just
I thought he meant
redoing
Gaga.
the playgrounds and the swings because they were for safety and they were a liability. So that was Phase 1. Phase 2, I guess, is yet to be determined.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
just asking the questions, because people ask, they want to know. Okay, here's my agenda.
Can we, I have some, go ahead, John.
I'm gonna go
Yeah,
around.
That's fine, go ahead.
Councilman Bonovich.
my discussion today, I just want to discuss like what we're doing tonight on one of these resolutions is great. As far as extension of premises, we're in phase one, stage one of our recovery here, and soon we're going to be coming into phase two or stage two. And if you read that, it's about restaurants being able to open to somewhat of a capacity, but also in stage two, they're saying outdoor dining. And in Howell, it's upsetting, most of our restaurants and bars, they're all indoors. There's zero outdoors. So what we're doing here tonight, Brian and Joe, all of us, we're getting ahead of that. So when stage two, we're ready, our restaurants, they don't have to go in front of a planning, zoning, spend all this technical review money. We give them a little leniency, because if they could only have 50% inside, just say, maybe they could gain 25% outside. So we're doing, and not costing them a lot of money. So I just want to explain that to everyone. We're being proactive, we're being pro-business, and I'm very happy with doing this.
I do have a couple of questions, though. How is it going to be structured? I mean, a lot of the restaurants that we have are in parking lots, so we're going to have to take parking spaces away?
Quite possibly. It's very difficult to come up with one set of rules that's going to apply to every business we have in town.
I realize.
That's why there is a lot of latitude built into this with regard to the director of our land use to make determinations. Yes, most likely some parking spaces will be taken up. However, it's going to be on the business owner. If they're using up all their parking for seating, people aren't going to come there if they don't have a place to park. So there does have to be a balancing act. We have discussed it internally, and we are trying to support the businesses. Sure. We're hoping that a lot of businesses, whether restaurants or retail, by expanding their footprint, might see the benefit to it and look to make that a permanent fixture and pursue that process, or quite possibly even add to their employment, putting people back to work.
Right. So the next question that I have to that is, if we allow this to happen, right, do the owners of the space, are they able to charge more money, like more rent, whereas it's additional space, or is that parking lot, I mean...
That would be between the landlord and their tenant, which is not something we're looking to get into. The first step in the process would be, in a landlord-tenant situation, they would need permission from their landlord to do so. I would be inclined to think the landlord would favor their business being successful so they could pay their rent.
Yeah, but not to have to increase it for that, footprint. I mean, how much more could it be? But still, they're trying to do that so they could go back to to a 75% capacity at least.
Sure.
So, could you just follow up with and find out, like, just around town? Is there any way to do that? Maybe through
every landlord is.
And it also depends if it's, just say like Ivy League, it's their own lot.
Right.
If it's, say, Mike's or Taco Bell, they're shared parking lots. It's difficult, so it's one by one, I think.
Yeah, I was just wondering. Councilman?
I'm good. That's it.
Councilwoman?
Yes, as everyone knows, today's Student Government Day, and unfortunately, we weren't able to do our typical program. But that doesn't take away from the pride that we would have with those students that would have gone through the process to become counsel for that evening. And it certainly doesn't take away from the teachers that have helped them along the way. So I look forward to next year when we can do it as we fully have in the past. But all of the students that presently involved in Howell Township, they are students of the day, definitely, because they're working under an unusual situation along with the educators, and we thank everyone for that. Secondly, I do want to share that a fellow councilman in the neighboring town of Farmingdale has passed away, Mike Romano, who was a longtime council person back to the days of when Jay Morgan was mayor. So that's certainly a sad thing for the community. And because we do so many things with Farmingdale, it feels almost as one of our own has been lost. May 25th, Memorial Day. I know that a lot of towns have canceled everything they're doing, the parades and whatnot. However, I talked to Mr. Longo, who is VFW, not chairman, but the head of it.
President.
The president, yeah, the term escapes me. I think he has an official title of other sorts. Anyway, he is going to lay a wreath at the old Preventorium building on Monday, the 25th at 12 o'clock. So I thought, as we spoke on the phone, I thought what a wonderful opportunity for us still to take part in something as a community. So I had asked Brian about reaching out to PD to see if they could do an honor guard or colors or something that would help promote the day. Our veterans are never honored enough, in my opinion. I come from a family of veterans, and I can tell you firsthand what families give up when their children and fathers serve. So luckily, at Preventorium Road at 12 o'clock, there'll be a laying of the wreath. We will have something from our PD. Council can speak, and I feel that we're doing a service to the community by having some type of a program. It may not be in the full luster that we typically do, and of course, Farmingdale isn't having their parade, which is the usual follow-up, but it's, still, I'm very happy to say that we're still going to be having something, so.
I have one question about
Yes.
that. Would it be, just due to social distancing,
Mm-hmm.
would maybe across the street in the field, would that be safer?
Well, that's a big area. Not only do you have the memorial, then you have the driveway, then you have the hill. So I would encourage people to wear a mask and be responsible if they choose to come and partake in the celebration. Also, I was curious, Mr. Manager, what's the possibility of having this taped for Channel 77?
I can see what capabilities our IT will have.
Okay. Yeah, it would be nice.
Or
A lot of
possibly-
people have already assumed that nothing will happen because that's what was, put out there. But if we could actually have something, a video, put it on 77, I feel like at least we're sharing something, that's
Positive.
certainly valuable. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Councilwoman?
Yes. So Brian had sent an email out a while back inviting us to do a briefing with the chief. Evelyn and I took him up on that offer on Thursday, and I have to thank him and his 8. They made 2 people leave, so Evelyn and I can come in there so they can be within their requirements of 10 people. And it was very eye-opening. It was amazing to see how they work with other departments in other towns and big towns, small towns.
They even work with overseas.
Oh, yeah, it's a wonderful COVID stat, everyday briefing. I encourage you, if you have the chance, to try to sit in for a little bit.
I can go once a week, twice a week.
But it was a great opportunity. Kudrick took the time, answered all of our questions, because we are getting questions, small businesses and stuff like that about opening, and if they get, caught, we all saw what happened at the gym. And community policing is what he does best, and we're trying to bridge that gap, obviously. And they're doing a great job, and again, with these little adjustments and the sidewalk ordinance and all this good stuff, trying to help our community and work together so we can get back on track and get back to our real life. So everybody that's participating, everybody that's putting in their 2 cents, everybody that's taking the time to be, understanding and putting their time forth, it's wonderful to see. So thank you, everybody, and thank you to the administration for helping us push some of these things through. I appreciate that.
And another thanks to Chief Kudrick, too, because it was eye-opening,
Yeah.
the amount of collaboration that's going on in
That's
the
a great word,
community.
collaboration,
Which,
yeah.
the public should rest very easy knowing that there's an amazing amount of work going into this COVID-19
It's
protection.
just multifaceted groups.
And
It's
probably will
insane.
continue as a new way of life will
I
will
think
be
they
at the
were going
next
to
door.
continue it.
Yes.
Mayor, thank you. A couple things. The resolution 9815, this is the outdoor dining and sidewalk sales. That was awesome. This is exactly what we should be doing. Hopefully, there's more to come. Like John said, this is hopefully the beginning. Our businesses need help, and this is exactly what this is. I could see the task force kind of taking this and adding to this. So it's also EMS week. Shout out to our 3 departments out there, our 3 squads. Do a great job and for all you do. I spoke with John Zicka from Howell First Aid Squad Number 1. They're making a documentary of their department. I haven't seen it. I think it airs tomorrow, I want to say. Is there any way to get that on Channel 77?
Sure. I'll contact you.
Awesome.
There's another video, Maureen, I don't remember the officer's last name. It was a hand washing video. What?
McBride.
Did you see that video?
I haven't, but,
Amazing video.
okay.
You should put that up there as well. She did hand washing for students in a classroom. It was really good.
Is this all streamed? Is that what you're saying? I mean, was it on social media?
It was,
Maria
yeah, I think it's
McBride's?
on,
Oh.
I think it's on their
Howell PD?
Facebook.
Oh, okay.
But hold on, before we post the Howell First Aid Squad's video, you got to make sure there's no cursing in there, because I know John, and there's a possibility there could be, so just make sure that it's PG.
Screening, private
I
screening?
have to say that. Task Force, get your applications in, whoever's watching. At the next meeting, I'd like to, with council's permission, appoint the task force members. You can do so, you can do it online, it's very simple. Go to the Howell website, you go to applications and forms, I want to say. I think it's the second hyperlink down, online submittal, it's very easy. There's no specific application for the task force, it's generic, so all you got to do is put your name, information, and put in there business task force. So please do that if you have a chance. Also, I'd like to recognize one of our patrolmen, Travis Horton, who did an amazing thing. He was in Lacey Township, I think it was a week ago, and he administered CPR and Narcan to an unconscious individual. And I said it in a video that I made on my Facebook, but I'll say it again. This is especially spectacular because we're in a pandemic, and you know, you don't even want to walk by somebody, rightfully so, let alone administer CPR. It's amazing. Thank you so much, Patrolman Horton, for everything you do, and our whole police department. That's all I have.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Mayor, I'm sorry, I do have one more thing that it just dawned on me as Tommy was speaking, if you don't mind. The budget, I know that it's being tabled today. I think it's important that the public knows why we collectively decided to table it with all the unknown expenses and costs coming, you know, in at a rapid speed. It's important that it's our responsibility to make sure we wait till the last minute, unfortunately, until we really have a better idea of what we can and cannot pass in the budget. And for those who are wondering why that happened, that's really as plain and simple as that.
I think everybody agrees. We're getting new information every single day. I mean, there's no handbook for a COVID-19 virus pandemic. So we're all, you know, I know the councils, we're all doing the best we can here, getting the information. And every day we get information. It's so valuable to this budget. So I know we're all paying very close attention to that.
We actually have meetings with the freeholders.
Yeah.
And so there are dollars coming into each of the towns, but we just have to gather all of our COVID-19 related stuff, and then I believe you'll be reimbursed for it.
So-
They haven't said anything more yet.
So you don't know an amount because we didn't put gather all our
Correct.
bills?
Yeah, and
Gotcha.
it's going to be done, I think he said, on a, like, every 2-month basis. Basically, he was going to break the time into every 2-month basis, so that,
Yeah, Mayor, there's 3 different phases.
Yep.
The conference call that we were on yesterday
Yep.
with the county, they have $108 million from the CARES Act that they're making available for a reimbursement program. We've already started, really since day one, we've been gathering and categorizing all of our expenses related to the virus. So I would expect that we'll be putting in pretty quickly for our first round of reimbursement. Although the first round does go until June 14th.
Yeah, I was gonna say June 15th.
So we'll be ready to submit at that point.
And Brian, we'll have a special meeting if it's before our next meeting, because
That won't require a meeting.
Yeah.
We just,
No, the budget?
oh, the budget.
The budget, I'm
budget.
sorry, let me be clear, the budget. We'll have our own
so-
special budget meeting?
As it stands currently, we're supposed to pass it by May 31st or our next available meeting. So
So we could push it off till June 9th, is that what you're saying, Councilman?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's what I
believe we'd
thought.
be okay to do that.
I just wanted to be clear. All right, thank you.
Okay.
Good job, guys.
Brian,
I have a number of things. We talked about the budget being tabled. I already discussed the Monmouth County CARES Act money. DPW has a number of things that they've been working on. They completed the demolition work on all the playgrounds that the contractor's upgrading. They're continuing to work with community development on a punch list for the work. They've started their second pass of the brush pickup in Zone E, as in Edward, on April 30th. They presently have about 2.5 zones left to go. They've been supporting community development's capital paving project. Their road crew dug test pits on 4 different roads, allowing the engineer to evaluate the existing paving and subgrade. And they're providing additional assistance in upgrading the drainage on Georgia Tavern Road. They've been working with the Howell Shade Tree Commission and New Jersey Forestry in rescheduling our tree recovery seedling giveaway program. That is scheduled. There will be a giveaway at the DPW garage on June 6th. We'll be
Yeah.
rolling out more information as that comes available.
So I think the plan is that everybody should stay in their car. They're going to tell them what trees, which others the seedlings are, and then we will bring it to them so that nobody has to get out of the car. It's just cleaner, simpler.
We'll publish instructions for the public
Yeah.
and put that on our website. They're supporting the upcoming Howell Farmers Market, and May 26th, they have scheduled to start grinding up our brush pile that has grown quite large at this point.
I had asked for the farmer's market if we could do a ribbon cutting, so I would like
Yes.
council to be, I mean, it's a big deal. That's Sunday the 30th. Yes,
The-
the 30th.
31st. I believe.
31st.
Sunday the 31st,
31st.
sorry.
The clerk's office will be sending out invitations for that to
Thank
the
you.
council. From our OEM, to date, we've had, since March 16th, a total of 588 residents have tested positive. Since that point, 415 have since been removed for a number of reasons. A vast majority of those is that their diagnosis was 30 days or more ago, so they're no longer being monitored. So that leaves 173 actual positive cases as of today. Our OEM just received a large shipment of PPE equipment from the county. They'll be inventorying the items, including Tyvek suits, gloves, face shields, and N95 masks.
Were they getting the N95s or the KNs?
This says N95.
Excellent.
They're keeping up with the executive orders, as I'm sure everyone's getting, multiple copies. Latest one, Executive Order 147, has opened the following recreational businesses or activity: archery and shooting ranges, batting cages, golf driving ranges, horseback riding, and tennis clubs.
Thank you, Tom.
Old Tavern Road is closed from 7 a.m. until 5 p.m. for construction. Detours are posted at Manassas Road, and residents will still have access to the police department and DPW.
I could say that is the truth.
I came through there myself today. And finally, from OEM, Walmart will be starting a free swab testing starting on Friday this week. I'm not sure if it's going to be in their parking lot or inside the building, but they had just gotten information about that.
Are they doing, forgive me, I forget the doctor's name that's working with us on Route 9?
Instadoc?
Sal Millay?
Yeah.
Dr. Millay, yeah.
Is he doing, just wondering, the antibody
Yes.
testing?
He is. I had mine done there, yeah. Yeah, they have a really great system. You go on his website, actually, I think we even shared it on our website. You register, it's like 15-minute
just
intervals.
wondering
Yeah,
about that,
they're doing it really, really good job. I think you get your results back in 48 hours. Is that where you
Yeah.
went, John?
Yep, we
Yeah,
got
me
mine
too.
in a day.
Oh, day, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think they tell people 72 hours, but it generally
Yeah,
comes back 24
yeah.
to 48 hours. That's when I got mine back as well. Negative as well.
Yes. Negative. You
Can I
too.
just ask why you
Negative.
tested? Did you feel sick? Were you in connection with
Actually-
someone who was positive?
Back in January, early February, me personally, I was very sick for a
Right.
while. I had missed a council meeting.
Yes.
And Super Bowl Sunday, I was laid up in bed so badly, my wife went out with friends without me. So, But-
Maybe she just gave you something bad to eat so she can go out without you.
that could be. Man, she's a good
Genius.
cook. And
So I was just wondering.
Yep. And I'll continue on.
Yes, please.
From Community Development, Freewood Acres, residents on either side of Route 9 can start connecting to the water and sewer systems. Information on how to connect has been provided on our website under the Engineering tab. For Georgia Tavern Road, the contractor is scheduled to finish the drainage and concrete work next week and complete the final paving and striping on June 1st and 2nd. He'll continue final paving on additional streets throughout the summer.
It looks like our little Miss Maria, she's going to be getting work done, I think, next week, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Contractors for New Jersey American Water and New Jersey Natural Gas continue to work throughout town. Old Tavern Road near the library is currently detoured, but residents can still access the recycling center from Lakewood Farmingdale Road. Preventorium Road and Maxim Southern Road are also currently detoured Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. All roadways with utility work will be repaved this fall. And then as far as the Capital Road program, to mill and pave several residential streets, that's being advertised for bids this Thursday with work starting the end of June. And then the final thing I have to mention, I know a hot button topic, a lot of questions are summer camps and whether we're going to hold them or not. We're still monitoring it. I'm trying to hold on to trying to have them if at all possible. Stephen Fetcher is consulting with his peers, looking for a direction from the governor's office, the Camp Association, CDC. We're also consulting with schools too, because obviously their availability plays into this as well. But, we do realize it is important for a lot of people, so we're trying to have them. We're not ready to make the call yet. If we did have to make that decision today, it would be to cancel, but we're still hoping to be able to pull it off.
So just asking, the counselors, are they paid counselors?
Yes,
They are?
yes. So that's part of the reason we're getting up against crunch time to make a decision, because we'd need to hire counselors, the appropriate number, get them trained. Additionally, although we were taking camp registrations, we did not take the money. Just in case we
Sure.
did have to cancel, we wouldn't have to worry about refunding money to everybody. So there's a few factors that we will need some lead time when we do make that decision, but we're getting close to having a,
What about smaller groups? Could you do smaller groups?
that's one of the things that's being considered, but it's space availability.
Space and
The number
outside,
of
yeah,
employees we
yeah.
need to monitor that.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of
No, I get
factors
it.
that are being weighed out. So it's still being contemplated. We are trying everything possible to hold it rather than cancel, as I know a lot of people are returning to work and we'll need that to help with daycare and that
Yeah.
kind of thing. And that's all I have for my report.
I'm sorry. Brian, would you include in your report the DPW bulk pickup that will commence on
Oh,
June 1, but they can
yes.
make appointments from today forward?
Actually, the phone started
Was it
yesterday
yesterday?
in
It
DPW.
started-
18th.
Yeah.
Is that yesterday?
Yeah.
They are starting bulk pickup on June 1st. They started taking appointments yesterday.
Thank you.
And yesterday and today, the phones have been absolutely crazy in DPW. We've been reassigning other clerical staff down there to assist with the volume of calls coming in.
Thank you for the report.
Yep, everyone's home doing spring cleaning. So,
And everybody better get on that call, because I called today, and I can't get my bulk pickup till the 18th, so that's how busy that they are, so.
I know they scheduled over 400 people yesterday,
Wow.
the first day.
Okay. So I guess it's now time for, we've had discussion. So at this point, I'd like to open this portion of the meeting for hearing of citizens and public comment on the consent agenda items. Please.
Okay, we have quite a few. First one, Ms. Barbara Dixell, 9A1, please explain. This is our temporary budget. We need to have in place because, actually, that's one thing I did forget to mention in my report. We do have 3 resolutions that will be pulled out of consent and require a separate vote, just so you're aware. 9A1 is our temporary budget. 9A5 is the MRSA appointment that council needs to make. And then 9A8 is the tax anticipation note. Sorry about that. So, Ms. Dixell is asking about 9A1. That's our temporary budget. We need to pass that to continue operations until such time we have a permanent budget in place.
She's asked that of us?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought you were asking.
No, I was
You didn't
offering
have to.
comments too. If you do want to comment on any of these, feel free.
No,
9A3, please explain, is there a police problem? This resolution is the council approving the policies and procedures for the police department.
Updated manual?
There was some minor changes made, and this is part of our police department accreditation process, but there are no problems, it's just standard updating. 9A5, who will be member representative? Why is a separate vote needed? This is the Mercer resolution that I had referred to. It's a separate vote because I'm not sure what name you're putting in, so. 9A8, please explain why is Howell bonding for $16 million? What will you use it for? Why is there a separate vote? What will be the tax burden to Howell citizens and for how long? This is a separate vote because it requires 4 votes to pass it. This is the tax anticipation note that I'll read some information on it that Lou has prepared. The increase in the tax anticipation note was to accommodate any potential cash flow issues during the July to September timeframe. $16 million amount is a not-to-exceed amount. We're pursuing this TAN deal with the Monmouth County Improvement Authority to help with better market exposure in the sale of the note. Lou is advised by bond counsel and financial advisor that it would be prudent strategy to increase the amount of the TAN needed in the event the state was late in their delivery of our first couple of aid payments from the original $12 million estimate. The township will have the ability to reduce the amount needed prior to pricing of the note if the cash situation at the time, during that time period, warrants it. We do not want to be put in a position where we could potentially have needed $16 million and we were capped at only $12 million based on the resolution. We would rather request for approval for more than probably necessary and hopefully needing less. Once the resolution is passed, the amount would not be able to be changed. The issuance of a tax anticipation note is an annual occurrence for the township. The action we are taking to increase the amount is one of a proactive nature and is based solely on the cause and effect of the coronavirus circumstances. Interest due on this note would be payable in 2021 and budgeted for in that calendar year.
Hey, Brian?
Yes.
It's funny, I actually asked Lou the same question this afternoon because it's higher than, and Lou, we went over this really quick, that June 23rd is when there's pricing on the notes, correct?
Yes, that's correct, Council.
So if there is, if we do receive a full amount of state aid and it's not reduced, we could then price for 12 million opposed to the 16 million, correct?
Correct. I mean, we've been given notification that our state aid amounts haven't changed as far as they're not going to be reduced. I was more worried of for the delivery date of said money. The state did extend their fiscal year by 3 months, so it's hedging our bet that if they don't distribute those funds to us until, say, October, we haven't been notified about that yet. So this is kind of playing it safe so that we can have the cash on hand to me paying our responsibilities, but this,
Well,
yes.
it could to continue operations, yeah?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And-
Yes.
And the
Sorry.
the CARES Act could totally play into this as far as state aid, so we don't even know.
Exactly. So this was just trying to, as I said in my response, we are playing it safe, and I'm assuming, I would say, give it, June 16th, that we would give them a week's notice where we would say, we are going to pursue 16 million with the note, or we're going to reduce it to a lesser amount based on information that I can obtain between now and then, and we will act accordingly.
Gotcha.
So in layman's terms, you ask for a little more than what you need out of just due to your budgeting process, you review and kind of like go out a couple of months to see how much more you would need, and that's how you come up with the number.
Correct.
And you don't need the number because if we get the revenue here and we went out to here, that goes back and we're good. So I just want,
Yes.
maybe that's a better explanation.
It's strictly a cash flow timing thing. I can't pay the money out if I don't have it in the bank.
Right, right.
And pre-COVID, you estimated to be 12 million, not 16.
That is correct, sir.
Thank you.
Moving on, the next question, we had two residents put in similar questions. Barbara Dexel asked, 9A10, why are you authorizing a performance guarantee with L&L Paving? Didn't the Howell Board turn them down? And Mr. Abraham Chasnoff had asked, please inform what work is to be performed that the performance bond is to cover and the details of the bond. This is the L&L Paving project, which was approved by our zoning board in June of last year. I'm not sure, I don't know if she has it confused with another project. This is just a standard performance guarantee for road work, curbing, milling and paving the road once they're done, that we accept with, or we would require with any large project. Moving on, back to Barbara Dixell, 9A12, please explain.
Everyone.
This is the extension of the deadline for renewal of retail food handling permits. We had opted to grant an extension as a small form of relief for our business owners.
Sure. I think that's great.
9A14, please explain. This resolution is regarding the CDBG program. This specific program, we're entering into a consortium with other towns. From what I understand, we've done this in the past, but we are not very active with this portion of it, but we still partake in it. There's only been a few small projects.
I could add, and yesterday I called Brian with the same question. It is standard, but I was confused why we had Asbury, Howell, and Middletown. And what it is because the CDBG is through, it's HUD, which is usually urban. It goes to the county, they distribute it, but because Middletown and Howell have over 50,000 in population, we're a part of that. And Asbury is considered an urban center, so that's why we're the only three in that consortium.
Okay,
I have a question.
sure.
So some towns give CBDG grants to people in the town, like store owners, or just to try and like give like a promotion. And I'm not talking, $1,500, they needed a new sign, so they come to the town to ask for a new sign. What, like things like that. I mean, I don't know how much money that we're getting from this.
Generally, it's very restrictive for the area and the types of projects that can be done. I'm not sure,
Well,
send me details on what towns have done that, I can look into it.
I could do that offline.
Yep, no, I figured.
Absolutely.
Okay,
But I mean, if that's an option, maybe some of the places that might need to do something, I don't know, maybe we could. To help them with the outdoor seating or something
Sure.
like that. If we could do minor grants. I don't know, if we can look into that, I think that would be really beneficial to the people in the town.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was, there was a CDBG grant exactly like that. If, it was a percent, like of storefronts, if you redid the brickwork and stucco and you spent 15,000, you'd get maybe like 2,500 as a credit. So it was to like increase the look of downtowns or wherever it may be. So maybe that's something we should look into for like Route 9, the corridor, a lot of those storefronts.
If they're gonna,
Yeah.
if they're gonna open up outside, I mean, they might need money to buy outdoor
Tents and
seating
stuff,
or
yeah.
even
Right,
just to
tents.
tape things off, you know what I mean?
You never know.
Well, we're a part of it in a couple minutes.
Okay, moving on, still with Barbara Dixell.
Oh, boy.
9A15, who is the Director of Land Use of Howell? That's Matt Howard. Why are you breaking the sidewalk ordinance? If you give applications a break, they will take an arm. Don't do it. Ordinances are put in place to protect the citizens of Howell, not to protect the applicants who will build anything they want without caring. I don't know if she misunderstands the intent of this resolution. It's only a temporary measure. It's in effect until December 31st of this year, and unless the governing body decides to extend it at that time. So, the rest of our comments,
Could I ask why we would do that?
why would,
Why would we have an existing ordinance, and we're going to change the ordinance for 6 months? So that we
No,
can change it
we're-
back? I'm not quite sure I understood that.
We're basically granting a temporary permit to waive certain restrictions. Like, for example, most restaurants, it's not part of their site plan to operate outside their building. So this concept is going to allow a temporary approval.
For sidewalks?
They may put it in the sidewalk, they may put it in the parking lot, you know,
I think we're getting this confused with the
Wait,
sidewalk
with the
ordinance,
sidewalk-
and this is the resolution. Yeah, we're getting them both.
yeah, this is the business
I'll
recovery.
step back away
task
from the
force.
hole.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, and then she does comment on the two ordinances, 11.1, 11.2, don't break the sidewalk ordinance, the applicants will damage property, and Howell protect the people. Next, May 14th, remote planning board meeting. As soon as it started, the sound and picture and broadcast went off. It came back on for the third case. Overall, the 9 members were a blurry, unhearable blob. I could not make out who was speaking, a member or a lawyer, or applicant or objector. It was a jumbled blob. Please do the board meetings like the council does, where you know who is speaking and what maps and documents are being put up to view. Please, these are legal proceedings. We need to know the citizens of Howell have the right to see and hear meetings. I did receive a letter from Ms. Dixell complaining about this. I looked into it. In fact, I forwarded to the council earlier today. The planning board secretary had gotten several compliments on how the meeting was handled. As you know, we're trying to reinvent the wheel here. It's an imperfect situation. We are already talking about modifying it, but I don't know if it was a tech issue on her end, or it seems that most other people could hear most of the meeting with a few minor issues, but
So, I'm sorry, I guess the question I have is, was she watching it on her TV and it was gobbled, or,
I'm not sure.
okay.
I
Or
don't know
maybe
if
her
she-
computer?
Computer, it was a Zoom meeting.
Yeah, they're running their
Okay.
meetings a little bit differently than we do with council meetings.
Sure.
You know, instead of having everyone come
Yeah.
here, because they have a larger number of people, so they face some unique challenges that differ from the council.
So, I believe Zoom meetings are taped, aren't they? And I would expect
Believe so.
that this meeting should have been taped.
Yeah,
So, she could be able to go back and watch it then.
I would agree.
All right.
Excuse me, if I could I wanted to just add something. In terms of the planning board, and I know last night the zoning board, that was done by Zoom too. And for the member, it was clear and concise. So for the members that are partaking of this and voting, it was clear for them. Not that that helps the public, but I wouldn't want the public to think that members did not have a clear idea of the proceedings, because that is not the case.
Well, that's why I'm saying,
Yeah.
I believe it could be, uploaded
Yeah.
onto the website from Zoom, and they could hear it for themselves.
I think so.
We're already discussing plans as we phase things back in. As you're aware, as of last Monday, all DPW was fully staffed. As of yesterday, all other municipal offices are fully staffed. We're going to start reintegrating all these other programs. The next step would probably be having those meetings back here. We still may not have public access yet, but as far as the board members and the professionals and the applicants, we may allow them access, just because it might be a little bit easier with the video system.
So just, my other part of the brain is going to ask, so what are we doing here at Town Hall to keep our staffing safe, distanced, and all that kind of stuff?
Well, we have our DPW doing regular cleaning. We have face masks and gloves available to any staff. We're recommending they use them. We're not requiring them. And there are some staff that are using them, some choose not to. Most of our offices are able to remain fairly separate, maintaining 6 feet of space. There's only 1 or 2 offices that that's a little more difficult to accomplish, so I had those department heads try and reorganize their space.
Thank you.
Speak to the restrooms for the, I'm sorry. Would you speak to the restrooms also for the employees, how they're handling, you know?
The restrooms in the building obviously are multi-user restrooms. So at the very beginning, we hang a sign on them, basically converting them to single use, and all the staff is very good with using it, whether it's occupied or unoccupied. That way, if somebody comes up, they see the occupied sign, they'll wait in the hall until it's done being used.
That's good. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yep. Okay, moving on. Next comments, James Moretti submitted by email. My question is for the mayor. I believe you have been mayor for 3 years, yet until the last month or so, we have never heard from you, and you were never engaged. Now that you are up for re-election, you are trying to take credit for things like the parks that people know you had nothing to do with. Mayor, why are you acting this way and politicking when we have not seen or heard from you in years? Jim Moretti from Howell, New Jersey.
I act the way I act.
Okay. Suzanne Brennan, submitted by email. Good evening. I wanted to extend my gratitude to Deputy Mayor O'Donnell for working with the VFW to ensure that the members of our United States military who made the ultimate sacrifice while serving the country will be honored in Howell this Memorial Day. While we continue to grapple with the challenges...
Congratulations.
I'm sorry?
Are you being honored, you said? Did you say she's being honored?
No,
Oh, I said
Ms.
congratulations.
Brennan is extending her gratitude to the
Oh, I
Deputy
thought
Mayor.
you said that she was being honored.
No. While we continue to grapple with the challenges COVID-19 has put upon us, it is so important to hold on to traditions like this that will bring our community together in spirit. Thank you for your efforts, and thank you to the men and women who died while courageously fighting for freedom and liberty we are blessed with today. Take care and be well. Suzanne Brennan. Next is William Thompson, submitted by email. Dear governing body, I have the following question for consideration. Please, since we cannot attend in person. Mayor Berger has begun to tell people she is a doctor and has medical expertise. This is concerning since it appears she is not licensed to practice medicine in the U.S., yet it seems like she's trying to get people to believe she is a medical doctor. So is the mayor a licensed medical doctor treating patients or not? If not, why is she giving the impression she is a medical physician? This is misleading and needs to be corrected. Thank you, William Thompson, Howell, New Jersey.
I have my medical license through Mexico. I do not practice medicine here in the United States, but I am fully licensed there.
Okay. Next is Mary Johnson, submitted by email. Dear Howell Council, I have a question for your meeting. I read in the newspaper and have seen online that the mayor has allegedly worked on the affordable housing issue in town. Frankly, I have watched the COA issue very closely for years, and the mayor has never spoke up or offered a plan on it other than when she campaigned last election. So what is the plan of her, and why have we not seen it until now when it's election time again? Most sincerely, Mary Johnson, Howell, New Jersey.
Okay, Mary, so I've been mayor for 4 years, this is the 4th year, and I've worked with council directly, and I work with yourself and the professionals. So, sorry he hasn't seen me or heard me, but I've had my discussions about it.
Again, I'm just reading these comments
And I'm
coming from the
answering.
public. Mr. Mark Parisi, submitted by email. I have a few questions about the previously approved TURPAC resolution that added 5 lots into the township wastewater management plan that were not part of the court-ordered affordable housing settlement agreement with TURPAC Road Group. The resolution stated the inclusion of these lots will allow for additional points of ingress and egress into the parcels owned by TURPAC and provide for a better overall development concept of those parcels. Based on the resolution and statements by Township Council, the request to add these 5 lots came from TURPAC after the settlement had been approved by the court. Both Councilman Bonovich and Deputy Mayor O'Donnell have expressed concern at recent meetings that the inclusion of these lots into the resolution could lead to unanticipated development and requested Township Council look into addressing this. Town Council indicated the developer's agreement could be reopened and amended to include language protecting against development of these 5 lots. According to tax records, these 5 lots are not owned by TURPAC and are owned by individuals who reside in Louisiana. These 5 lots are a combined 14 acres of property just south of TURPAC properties with frontage on West Farms Road. One look at a map and it is easy to see how these lots could easily fit into the overall development concept for TURPAC. My questions are, did the township contact the property owners of these 5 lots regarding this resolution? Is there a written agreement between TURPAC and or the township with these property owners regarding ingress and egress for these lots? Is the township aware of any agreement between Turpac and the property owners? What mechanism does the township have to compel Turpac to reopen and amend the developer's agreement to include language, these lots will not be developed? What recourse does the township have if Turpac refuses to do this? If they agree not to develop these properties and they do not presently own, do the current property owners of these 5 lots need to be party to the agreement? What could be amended only, would this amended agreement only apply to Turpac? Could Turpac create another entity like Turpac 2.0 who could purchase these 5 lots that are now approved for wastewater? Then Turpac 2.0 could seek a builder's remedy during the next round of our housing agreement obligation to develop these 14 acres of property into more affordable housing next to the already approved housing, since they were not party to the current agreement. It should concern all taxpayer that our township would spend substantial attorney's fees negotiating COA settlements and with developers, only to turn around and acquiesce to post-settlement requests like this that do not involve properties owned by the developer or the township, and it should raise concerns why the addition of these lots into the wastewater management plan are not negotiated or included in the settlement. Regards, Mark Parisi. I will ask our township attorney to comment on some of these.
Okay, so there's a lot there.
Yeah.
I'll try and unpack it. Let me start with question number 3. Is the township aware of any agreement between Turpac and the property owners from Louisiana? And the answer is yes, we are. Our tax records are not updated frequently enough. Right now, if you go to the County of Monmouth Consolidated Records site and do a search of these 5 lots, you will see that there is a deed from these owners to Turpac Group dated March 12th of 2020. So it has been sold and Turpac's the owner. Did the township contact the property owners of these 5 lots regarding this resolution? It's Turpac, not the people from Louisiana. Written agreement between Turpac and/or the, again, Turpac owns it. The Monmouth County Consolidated Records reflects that. What mechanism does the township have to compel Turpac to reopen and amend the developer's agreement? We are going to negotiate with them currently, and we will include them in there. If they don't, then if they ever wanted to develop those, they'd have to go before the Planning and Zoning Board. It's not a question of just developing them. There's permission to be granted, and there's certainly mechanisms in place, even if they didn't want to include them in the developer's agreement. But again, we're talking to them, and so right now, I can't say what the end result of that's going to be. They've been amenable to a lot in the past, as have all of our selections for affordable housing in the town. What recourse does the township have if Turpac refuses to do this? I'd have to look over the contract and see if their failure to include them would be a breach or not. So certainly there's recourse. If they agree not to develop these property, well, they do presently own them. Do the current, again, with regard to number 6, Turpac owns the property. 7, would this amended agreement apply only to Turpac? As with any of our affordable housing agreements, if there was a transfer, we would have to approve that, and it would be subject to all of the requirements of the particular contract. You don't get to launder the parcel by selling it to somebody else. Could Turpac create another entity like Turpac 2.0 who could purchase those 5 lots now approved for wastewater? So there's a lot of speculation in number 8, and I'm not even going to begin to answer it because it is purely speculative. But I will say the whole point of the litigation that we just resolved was to get immunity from builder's remedy suits. As soon as we filed suit and we applied to the court, we were granted immunity. I would expect, if we're going to speculate, that would happen in the next round. So we will cross that bridge when we come to it, but I don't see why the future rounds wouldn't be treated substantially similar to the ones that have been.
Can I add into this? Is the 3rd meeting in a row, correct, that the same Turpac property came up?
Yeah, it's uncanny.
The first meeting was, the first one was, I questioned if we were getting builder's remedy. Then we called in Andy Bayer. And then Andy Bayer, our professional, said we should revisit the developers agreement and get it amended to protect ourselves from that being developed. Then last meeting, we learned that Mercer added those 5 parcels to the water management. So why is that? And we agreed to look at that as far as, revise that developers agreement that they will not build on those 5 parcels. And you said you've talked to Turnpack and you said that it was for egress and ingress, correct?
Correct. The representation they made to us, even before that resolution for the wastewater management, sewer service and all that, was that those parcels were going to be dedicated for ingress and egress only.
So are we going to work on that revised developers agreement is my question.
Correct.
Okay, and then the last one is we keep peeling this onion, it gets stinky. They're definitely owned by Turnpack, those 5 parcels? They're not in Louisiana or?
I looked less than an hour ago.
Okay. All right, because, it's meeting part 4, next, I got it.
All 5 lots.
Gotcha.
Anything else? Or do you want me to continue?
Go right ahead.
Okay, moving on. We have Tina Smilek emailed in. Once again, final agenda is not available for public review at least 24 hours in advance as a courtesy for residents to have time to review. Could you please let me know when the council was given final agenda? Can't wait to see what developer is being benefited from the two last-minute added ordinances, as it definitely does not benefit the taxpaying residents. Was the land use officer and deputy director consulted with and in favor of this change, considering they just created the ordinance last year? Why are we changing? How many developers have requested a waiver in the last year this has been put in place? How much money has been collected in the Sidewalk Trust Fund? Who asked for this to be added to the agenda? Does this have anything to do with the 5 additional properties that were approved for our sewer authority that are not included in our affordable housing agreement? I hope you all have answers to these questions before you approve this. I actually hope you stick to your campaign promises and stop approving last-minute add-ons unless they are an emergency, and no proclamations do not count, as they are not making changes to our E-codes. I believe a vast majority of this we've answered already, unless anyone wants to comment
Yeah,
further.
I just wanted to add that the planning board application that initiated this to me as a Class 3 that I brought to the council had nothing to do with any developer, any one person, any project, any other innuendo. It's simply a matter of trying to help private residents in rural areas so that they are held to a standard that would be different from a development or a business on Route 9. So, thank you.
So we tabled that, correct?
Yes, but I just wanted to answer the question because I want Tina to understand. I mean, being I brought it, I thought I at least owed her the answer.
Just to comment real quick, I don't believe there was a formal action to table it. We can probably address that as it comes up on the agenda.
Yeah.
Although it sounds like everyone is in favor of that. Moving on, roadwork projects. At the last meeting, it was stated that the issue with the RFPs that Councilwoman Richmond pulled from the beginning of the year is an ethics issue. I don't believe that's true. Considering these projects were awarded with no changes and none of the firms were removed from accepting bids due to the ethics issue, this matter seems moot. And if it is not moot, it should have been handed over to the state, who, under our ordinances, handles all ethics complaints due to former administration disbanding the Municipal Ethics Board. So how long has Mr. Herman been on administrative leave with pay? How much do you think this is costing taxpayers? I would say $30,000 plus. There are way too many projects going on to be playing politics and allow the taxpayers to pay for your mistakes. Hopefully, this won't end up in another lawsuit costing the town even more money. I will comment once again to Ms. Smilek that it's a personnel issue. This will not be discussed at a meeting. Her statements are inaccurate, that the councilwoman pulled the RFPs due to an ethics issue. To my recollection, she had questions about the process. The ethics issue is completely and entirely separate. moving on. Resolutions, 9A5. Appointment of MRSA. Why isn't there a request for applications for this? Did the person being appointed submit an application? How many applications were received? Does council discuss this as a unit, or will this appointment be made along party lines? 9A8.
Well, actually, no.
I'm sorry.
I did not see any applications.
We didn't put it back out.
There were, oh, I'm sorry, there were no applications. We
Did we
received.
put it out to have, to have people apply?
Well,
I think
hold on, but.
the answer was no.
Mr. Johnson sent a letter, what was it, on April 3rd,
Resigning.
Yeah.
resigning, the height of the craziest month in human history. We'd all agree. And so we have to, when is his term up? Is
The end
it
of
March
May.
31st?
This
I'm
month.
sorry, it's March, oh my God.
Yeah, but
May 31st, so we're in a time
to
crunch. here.
circumvent a process
We're not
and just
circumventing
place
anything.
somebody in where other people in the town cannot apply for the position, I don't think that that's reasonable.
Joe Clark, what is the procedure with that? If you would elaborate for us and hopefully clear this up.
So in terms of the resignation, his resignation is effective in 12 days, so you got to move quick. It lasts
Yeah,
until...
but we've known that for a while
It
now.
lasts until the end of the year. And it is a township council appointment. It's not an open position that we necessarily take applications for, so...
We do it at the end, in the beginning of the year?
Well, we have somebody being appointed as an interim filler, so at the end of next year, and I'm sure that we'll have, people know that it's going to be up in December of 2020, so people can apply for it, but
To be clear, Joe, and I have a question about this. This is to fill Mr. Johnson's unexpired term from May 31st to the end of the year, correct?
correct.
Okay.
That was 2021.
No,
No, this year.
his term.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah, I'll double check, but I thought it was only through the end of this year.
It's till the end of his term, whatever term.
Yeah.
The end of this year,
It's the
and then the council will make a 5-year appointment, as we did with Mr. Johnson.
Okay.
Okay, 9A8, tax anticipation.
So could I go back to that, though? Has anybody been given a name that we even, I
So-
mean,
I
John,
sent out an email to the council reminding them that this appointment needed to be made. Nothing was given to me, so we put forward a resolution. There's a blank in it for you guys to either add a name or table. I had sent multiple emails about this, haven't gotten any response.
There's no applications.
9A8, tax anticipation notes. 2019 was $9 million issued. 2020 it is being raised to $16 million. That's a $7 million increase. I know we are in unusual times, but a $7 million increase. This is $2 million over the highest amount of $14 million over the last 2 decades. How much does this add to this year's budget? What is the need for such an increase? I believe we've already addressed this topic. 9A14, agreement with Monmouth County for consortium consisting of Howell, Middletown, Asbury Park, and Long Branch. Monmouth County acts as a representative for all members. Home Investment Partnerships Program. Home provides grants to state and local governments to create affordable housing for low-income households. How many years has Howell been part of the consortium? If new, how does this differ on how we used to do it? How much grant money have we received from the program in past years? Who determines what projects get the funding? As this must be done in conjunction with the CDBG grant, we will continue to run the CDBG grant through the township without the consortium. Do we participate in the emergency shelter grants? If yes, how much do we get from it, and what projects was it used for? Who will make up the consolidated plan that is submitted? Does council have final say over what is consolidated, and can they back out if they do not like the plan that is submitted? What employee will be in charge of overseeing the information of the consortium? Obviously, this very involved questions that's going to take research to answer. It's not something I believe we're prepared
And
to
I answered
offer.
some of them about the
Yeah, some of those
consortium.
were addressed already, but
So just for the process piece of it, so the questions that we don't answer today will come back to the next meeting?
I'll send an email addressing them. I'll get answers and forward
And then, but they'll come back in June 9th at the next meeting so that we could answer them on, they should be answered on here, right?
We can if you'd like. This is going to be
Yeah.
pretty extensive.
Well, I think it's transparent.
Okay?
Could you tell me who's in charge of, presently of the consortium? That we've been involved several years. So who's responsible for making that decision now?
County Planning Board.
So that's the answer. Okay.
Please make sure council has final approval and is involved in all aspects.
I don't think we did that choice.
Again, still continuing with Mrs. Smilek. I understand this was removed from the budget, but would still like an answer to the questions. Ordinance 0-20-6, budget is going up above the 2.5% cap by 1% for the maximum amount allowed without having a ballot question, correct? How much did the operational cost go up by dollar and by percentage? Same question as I asked last year. What is the dollar amount of the increase to the year's budget due to bans, TANs, and GO bonds? The 1977 appropriations cap allowable increase is up to 3.5% on an annual basis. In 2020, the state allowed for an increase of 2.5%. Municipalities can increase the appropriations, can increase the remaining 1% by ordinance if it deems necessary. The municipality was under the appropriations cap even prior to the 1% increase. This action is done to bank cap availability for future budgets within the subsequent 2 years. A ballot question is not required for this action. The township has consistently passed this ordinance in past years for the same said purpose. Total operating expenses are from the introduced budget are increasing $669,700. Let me say that over. $669,778.97, or 2.33%. Debt service is increasing on the total by $394,510, or 4.86%. Okay, moving on. The next comment I have emailed from Andre DeGarmo.
So is that question is also tabled?
No,
All
I
the
responded.
answers?
No, he just answered.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
responded to. Next is from Andre DeGarmo, received via email. I am wondering if there are any updates on the Resource Engineering, AKA Material Transport Group, waste transfer station located at 34 Randolph Road, Block 5, Lot 4. It would appear that the property is once again behind in taxes by 3/4. Perhaps the county should be reminded of this ongoing tardiness. We frequently use Randolph Road as a way to and from Ramtown, and I can say we have never seen more material stockpiled at the site. Piles are higher and wider than memory can ever recall, and the material is extremely close to the power lines that service the area. He's attached some pictures, and he has more available. In fact, I believe a utility pole on the northeast corner of the lot, at the corner of Randolph Road and the JCP&L Depot Access Road, was recently replaced in order to restore power to the south end of town. I am curious what caused this to be required, as well as if this, quote, on steroids, end quote, use of the property is a permitted use. I've seen elsewhere where there is a maximum cubic yard restriction for mulch or wood chips. Thank you to our EMS and Public Works for doing such a fine job for the people of Howell. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for your time and attention. To address his comments and concerns, I'll refer this to our code enforcement to investigate, and I can check with JCP&L on the poll, and we can certainly contact the county about them being behind in their taxes.
I was going to say, last year they did this as well. They're always 3/4 behind. They don't go 4/4 behind because the tax lien. They're just avoiding it. So nothing we could do. That's the game. But as far as the code officials, if there is mulch around these power lines over there, that's a real hazard. And right now, we don't need any additional extra first responders going for a fire from mulch next to a telephone pole. So
I had already sent his comments to code enforcement to
thank you.
handle.
Thank you.
Next is Joan Osborne, received by email. Not a question, but a statement. I am disappointed with the fact that members of the community believe that the hearing of the citizens is intended to be used as an opportunity to attack members of the council who are running for re-election, and specifically only the mayor. So it is clear where that is coming from and what the political agenda is. They should be ashamed that they are not using the time to address issues pertinent to the entire town during this crisis. I would hope that they can do better. And that is all I have for the hearing of citizens. And as of right now, we have had no response on the public hearing for any of the 4 ordinances scheduled.
Okay. So at this point, we are breaking up the consent agenda, right? So I'm going to ask, because I've learned a little bit of a lesson. Is anybody interested in taking any of these out so that it is not a consent that we vote individually?
Well, do we have to do the ones that require a 4 vote separately, Brian?
Yes.
We do. So we have to pull those out?
Those 3 we have to do no matter what.
So
But is there
9A1?
another resolution on here?
Not for
It's
ma'am.
9A1, 9A5, and 9A8.
Correct.
5A.
And everybody else could be on a consent? Is that what we're agreeing to?
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, that's
Fine.
fine.
Okay.
I will make a motion to approve 9A1, 9A5, 9A8.
No.
No, we have to do it the other way.
Opposite.
The other
We
way.
have to-
Oh, the opposite.
We're doing everybody else.
I see.
So just make a motion for 9A1.
Oh, yeah.
We have
No,
to
do-
vote separately.
We could have done that much easier. I'll make a motion to move 9A1.
Could we have a separate vote?
I'll second that.
Roll call, Mr. Bonovich?
Yes.
Ms. Richmond?
Yes.
Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes. Could we go to 9A5? That's the separate vote as well.
I'm just looking to open it up because.
Yes, Mayor, I'll make a motion. So before I make the motion, we accept Steve Johnson's upcoming resignation. Thank you, Steve, for all your service, and I wish you the best of luck. He did recommend somebody. He recommended former Deputy Mayor Rob Nicastro to fill his unexpired term. I will make a motion to appoint Mr. Nicastro to fill Mr. Johnson's unexpired term until that ends.
I will second that motion.
Roll call, Mr. Bonovich?
You know on the first page of our township website for the sewer authority, it says you can't be on the planning board, right?
That is correct.
Correct.
So Mr. Nicastro has to resign from the planning board to be on the
Yeah,
sewer
pending his
authority.
resignation, of course. Yeah, well, whatever. Joe, can you comment on the law on this? I did ask you about this.
He'll have a decision to make.
He has to decide, correct?
Correct.
Absolutely.
All right, now, further on that, before we vote on this, you know, since we're pros in the 18-4 Code of Ethics, we lost a director of community development, so we've went over this before, this Code of Ethics, so,
All right, but there's a motion on the floor.
all right, I'm going to read it. I'm gonna read
Please, John.
18-4.
But there's a motion on the floor.
I'm going to read this,
No, no,
18-4F. The township
There's
manager...
a motion on the floor.
Okay, if you want to do that, you need to go
Excuse me.
through
Oh,
me to do that.
I do, then you should know the Robert's Rules of Order, and you should say that he is out of order, and we have a motion on the floor, and he can wait until the time is right.
Well, when you
Let's
stop
be
yelling,
fair.
when you
I'm
stop
not yelling.
yelling,
You're
I
trying
will
to dismiss
then-
me. You're trying to dismiss me.
All I'm saying is, if you need to speak, it needs to go through the chair.
Well, you should know that he should not be speaking when there's a
I
motion on
should
the
know,
floor.
and what I
You
should not know is what
Joe
is
Clark,
not
can you please,
what's
as a
happening.
parliamentarian, can you please step in and
Please.
correct what's going on right now? Excuse me, John, I don't mean any disrespect to you.
I'm going to
just following
save
the
it for
rules.
the end of discussion
you.
because there's something else here.
Okay.
Goes
That's
against
fine.
our ethics.
Okay.
So
That's fine,
not
but-
only it goes against, he has to pick one or the other, there's another
Okay.
situation. And I'll save it for later.
Curious.
Thank you.
Okay, so when we have a motion and a second, then we can ask for discussion on the motion. If there's no discussion on the motion, and we go to the vote, then the vote has to be finished. So it's not,
We didn't start the vote.
So we didn't start the vote.
so while there's discussion on the motion, you can bring up points pertinent to it.
Okay, you didn't open up for discussion.
You don't have to, it's part of the
Oh,
process.
okay.
So.
Go ahead, John, I apologize.
So
Go
then
ahead.
I'm just going to discuss it. 18-4F. The township manager or any other township official with the capacity to appoint or employ individuals are prohibited from appointing a family member or a party official, which Mr. Nicastro, he is a party official for the Monmouth County Republican Club, to any board, commission, or agency in which the party official is entitled to a salary or retirement benefits or fringe benefits. This is a paid position, so we're going to get,
So,
Would you
John,
like to
John, yeah,
address
so he did mention that he was going to donate the money back to the township. Joe, can you comment if that's valid? If that's, permissible?
I would have to look into it, so that's
But it says we
exactly what I
can't
would do.
appoint.
Joe, can you please comment? I don't have this statute in front of me. I don't have these rules in front of me.
Yeah, so I will look into it. I think we can go forward with the appointment, and I will look into it because I don't know if the party official is the same thing as a Republican club member as a formal member of the Republican Party and the structure within that, so.
So now, I'll ask for a vote. May I please have a motion? I mean, we had the first and the second. May we vote?
Mr. Bonovich?
No.
Ms. Richmond?
Yes.
Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
No, I can't support that. 9A8 is the other separate vote.
Which one is that?
This is for the TANs. Authorize and provide the issuance of sale tax anticipation note for the Township of Howell in the amount of $16 million.
I will make a motion to approve 9A8.
I'll second.
Roll call, Mr. Bonovich?
Yes.
Ms. Richmond?
Yes.
Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes. At this point now, I think we need to go, it's 9A2 through 9A4.
Yes, I will make a motion for 9A2 through and including 9A4.
Did you want to do all except for?
I was gonna.
Okay.
No, my motion is my motion.
I will second that.
Okay, bear with me 1 second. 9A2. Okay, 9A2 through 9A4. Roll call, Mr. Bonovich?
Yes.
Ms. Richmond?
Yes.
Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes. May I have a motion from 9A6 through 9A7, 9A10 through 9A15?
You missed 9A9.
9A9.
9A9 through 9A15. So should I say it again? It's 6 and 7, 9 through 15.
You have that motion to approve.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Bonovich?
Yes.
Ms. Richmond?
Yes.
Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes. Okay, we have no motions today, but we have some ordinances, yeah?
Correct. And again, Mayor, just to reiterate, we did advertise the public hearing on all four of these ordinances and accepted comments. Up until now, we have not received any comments for any of the four ordinances.
So, I mean, we're to go through each of them. I guess if somebody sends something in the meantime,
I'll let you know.
before it gets approved.
Okay.
Okay. 1 second. Okay. 0-20-8, 10.1, authorize acquisition of land from Mommoth Conservation Foundation for open space in the Township of Howell, known as Block 135, Lot 43, or United Neuticle Academy Torah Bay, approximately 30 acres on Fort Plains Road. May you please read the title?
Actually, if you could read the statement?
Ordinance number 0-20-8, introduced and passed on first reading on 5/5/20 and published according to law, is now being taken up for further consideration and public hearing. Affidavit of publication of this ordinance in the Asbury Park Press issue of 5/8/20 is submitted and is noted that a copy of the ordinance has been posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building and that copies were available upon request.
Title of ordinance. Ordinance authorizing the acquisition of lands from Monmouth Conservation Foundation for open space in the Township of Howell, known as Block 135, Lot 43, United Talmudical Academy, Torah Bay, approximately 30 acres on Fort Plains Road.
May we have a vote?
I would make a motion to, that ordinance number 0-20-8 be finally passed and adopted, and that notice of its passage and adoption be published in the May 22nd, 2020, issue of the Asbury Park Press by reference to its title only.
I'll second.
Roll call, Mr. Bonovich?
Yes.
Ms. Richmond?
Yes.
Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes?
Mayor Berger?
Yes. Ordinance 0-20-9 or 10.2. Amend ordinance 0-19-21 authorizing the acquisition of land known as Block 42, Lot 88 on the tax map of Howell for the purpose of open space. Ordinance number 0-20-9, introduced and passed on first reading on 5/5/20 and published according to law, is now being taken up for further consideration and public hearing. Affidavit of publication of this ordinance in the Asbury Park Press issue of 5/8/20 is submitted and is noted that a copy of the ordinance has been posted in the bulletin board on the municipal building and that copies were available to the general public upon request.
Title of ordinance, ordinance amending ordinance number O-19-21 of the Township of Howell authorizing the acquisition of land known as Block 42, Lot 88 on the tax map of Howell for the purpose of open space.
Make the motion that ordinance number 0-20-9 be finally passed and adopted, and that notice of its passage and adoption be published in the 5/22/20 issue of the Asbury Park Press by reference to its title only.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Bonovich?
Yes.
Ms. Richmond?
Yes.
Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes?
Mayor Berger?
Yes. Point of clarification. Do I read this, Joe?
No, Mayor, you should step down from the dais.
So I'll
or
step
that one.
down and offer the deputy mayor.
I have a request that we pull this until a new appraisal can be done. Do you need this to be on before I can have that request? Before I make the actual request?
No, you can,
Well, the reason being is that the last appraisal is 2018. It's now 2 years old. So, I mean, it could be a more valuable piece of property or a lesser valuable piece of property.
Could I I just have a question. Am I allowed to ask a question?
on this particular ordinance?
No?
Probably
Okay.
not. It's probably
All right,
best not.
fair enough. But
If the motion is to table it until, so that we can obtain a new appraisal for, is that, am I missing?
Well, yes, that's my motion, that's my request because of the age of the appraisal.
And I'm just asking the question, is it because you think that the appraisal could be more or less, and is that what?
Yes, I mean, that's why I said,
Oh,
at this point, the property could be more valuable in 2 years' time. It is ARE 6,
ARE 6.
right? It's near a railroad. It's
Wetlands.
predominantly wet. So the true value of the property, is it different than it was 2 years ago?
We could table it and I could
Has
talk.
that ever happened to any other ordinance for open space? Just clarification.
Not that I recall, but we do regularly update appraisals. I did that for Estelle Lane, comes to mind, where the homeless camp was located.
And this is additional to the Bear Swamp property adjacent to it, correct?
It's adjacent to it, I think
Next to the railroad
it's
track,
by
yes.
the tracks, et cetera.
I mean, it's not up on the field, the end where the fields are and contiguous properties that are being utilized by sports teams, no, but it is on the bottom end of the track.
I have a question for you, Deputy Mayor.
Yes,
If the name on this was different, would you
yes.
still?
It's a 2-year-old appraisal. If the property were worth more, would we not be doing due diligence to offer a larger amount? If the property's worth less, then our due diligence is to offer less.
And
Is that
this
not
is for
reasonable?
open space, right?
Right, but don't we purchase open space for the sake of
Keeping it open?
keeping it open? But
Yes.
besides that, and this is before my time with you guys, but we spend money on open space to stop people from building, but with it being AR6 and wetlands, who's really building on it anyway? I'm just throwing it out
Next
there,
to Bear
John.
Swamp. Yeah, it's an addition too.
Okay.
And aren't we using our New Jersey American Water?
Some of it.
That's what the amendment That's what the ordinance
Yeah.
amendment is
Yeah.
for.
Well, I thought we were using, hold on, I thought open space funds.
We were originally slated to use open space funds for it, and then through this amendment, we would use the diversion monies from the NJ American Water Project. That was just something that Monmouth Conservation had worked with the DEP on.
When did that
What's the
happen?
advantage of using that money as opposed to open space money?
Well, I think that it's, the diversion funds are there, and that would be property that would be substituted in as a result of the NJ American project. So it's just the diversion funds are being dedicated towards that use. It's a different sort of open space money.
So you don't think after a 2-year appraisal, with what's been going on, it's realistic to ask for a second opinion or another appraisal, or?
We can have another appraisal ordered, and they're usually very quick on it, so, you know, I will, if the ordinance is going to be tabled, for that purpose, then I'll have it done quickly.
And that's what you're requesting, Deputy Mayor?
A new appraisal,
Okay.
just like we
I
did
think
with
that's
Estelle
fair.
Lane. I mean, this is not as though this has never been done. I always felt that when we, in the case of Estelle Lane, it was due diligence. I feel that way now. If people disagree with me, then that's fine.
Listen.
That's fine.
It was going for open space. Do whatever due diligence you like.
So I have a motion on the floor.
I'll second your motion.
And this motion is to table it, and that is till the next meeting, June 9th?
I guess when Joe gets back to us, as soon as he has some more information to supply the governing body with,
Yeah,
Brian,
pending
is that
the
fair?
appraisal.
Done.
Pending the appraisal, yeah.
Yes.
Just table it forever.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Bonovich?
This is the motion to table an open space acquisition, correct?
No, this is a motion to get a new appraisal
For an
On a-
open space acquisition.
on a piece of property.
I'm going to abstain from that. It's,
Ms. Richmond?
Oh, yes.
Mr. Russo?
I just have a question. When will this appraisal be done?
As soon as possible.
He said as soon as possible.
As soon as possible. I mean, I can't give a date without talking to the appraiser first, so typically they're pretty quick.
I kind of
this is
want
like,
It doesn't affect me.
I mean-
Believe me.
all right.
I'm just,
Yes?
at this point, it's, you know what?
Yes.
I do feel,
I just
I
wanna-
do feel, I'm sorry, I do feel that this is personal, and I will say why. Because this has been out on the table, this has been here all this time, and it's been in the township. We talked about this last year, and you voted on it last year.
voted on it 2 weeks ago. You voted yes, Evelyn.
So, all I'm going to say is, I'm going to look forward to every new open space project and every new project so that we make sure that we're following all
As
of
we
the
should.
guidelines.
As we should, of course.
Absolutely.
100%.
Which is why I'm saying, unfortunately, you might have been laxed going in previous, but you got it on now. So
Right.
let's do
Well,
this.
Being you've made all of your comments, let me say,
No,
and
I
I
didn't
didn't,
make 'em
I
all,
didn't
trust
want to,
me.
I did not want to bring this up. I've had 2 people call me and ask me why a seated council member is profiting. So I feel doing due diligence by another appraisal may be advantageous to the sale of the property.
With all due respect, I lost money with this. The
Well-
the property was appraised higher, and the decision of my husband's family
Correct.
was to put it towards open space because that's what we believe in.
Well, I remember Jim Herman
But-
approaching us, saying that, this was something that he had looked into. But none of this is
And
pertinent
So
in
it-
that,
it's fine,
because I've
Evelyn,
been-
do your due diligence.
because
It's
I
your
have been,
fiduciary
had a
responsibility.
request by a member of the public, I think it's actually to your advantage that this be flushed out. If you don't feel that way, that's fine. However,
Evelyn,
I do.
I just said,
Fine.
go through your appraisal.
Well, it's not mine, it's ours.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes.
I do have to abstain.
Mayor Booker.
What's next?
10-3?
We're at 10.4?
We're 4.
Where 4?
0-20-11, 10.4. Amend ordinance 0-19-32, authorizing the acquisition of lands from Mommoth Conservation Foundation for open space in the Township of Howell known as Block 51, Lot 36.04, Van Schoik property, approximately 4 acres on Preventorium Road. Ordinance number 0-20-11, introduced and passed on first reading on 5/5/20 and published according to law, is now being taken up for further consideration and public hearing. Affidavit of publication of this ordinance in the Asbury Park Press issue of 5/8/20 is submitted and is noted that a copy of the ordinance has been posted on the bulletin board of the municipal building and that copies were available to the general public upon request.
Title of ordinance, ordinance amending ordinance number O-19-32, authorizing the acquisition of lands from Monmouth Conservation Foundation for open space in the Township of Howell, known as Block 51, Lot 36.04, Van Schoik property, approximately 4 acres on Preventorium Road.
May I have a motion?
I'll make the motion that ordinance number 0-20-12 be finally passed and adopted, and that notice of its passage and adoption be published in the 5/22/20 issue of the Asbury Park Press by reference to its title only.
Wait. This is 0-20-11.
That's why I read.
I thought you said 12. He did
That's
say
it.
12, right? Okay.
Oh,
I just wanted to clarify that.
okay. I meant 0-20-11.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll make a second.
Roll call, Mr. Bonovich?
Yes.
Ms. Richmond?
Yes.
Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes?
Mayor Berger?
Yes, ma'am. We'll go to the introduction of ordinances.
That's the one, sidewalk? I think. I can't click on the link, it's giving me a hard time.
It's ordinance of the Township of Howell amending Chapter 188 Land Use, Non-Residential Community Design Standards, Streetscape Design Principles, subsection G, sidewalks of the revised general ordinance of the Township of Howell. I want somebody to say that really quickly.
Not me.
Motion to table this.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll second that motion since we had that discussion.
And the next one is 11.2.
Can I just take a vote on the tabling 11.1?
Yes.
Roll call, Mr. Bonovich?
Yes.
Ms. Richmond?
Yes.
Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes. Now we'll go to 11.2. Ordinance of the Township of Howell amending Chapter 188 Land Use Article, that's 14, right? Residential Design Standards, Section 132, sidewalks of the revised general ordinances of the Township of Howell.
May I make a motion to table to the next meeting?
Second.
Mr. Bonovich?
Yes.
Ms. Richmond?
Yes.
Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes, ma'am. So again, I guess we're going to just say about the municipal budget that the 2020 budget is going to be tabled. At this point, we have 6/9/20, but we reserve the right to table again if we find new information to fix the budget, change the budget numbers. Yes?
No.
Should that happen, any municipal adoption, any adoption of the municipal budget past June 9th, if it happens that the budget is not adopted at the June 9th meeting, we would need to pass pass a resolution extending our date. That's all.
Okay. And will you also have to extend the amount of funding that you might, the appropriations that you might need to?
Well, the temporary budget amendment that was on the agenda this evening brought our appropriations through June. So, as a matter of practicality, I would just have something prepared to take us through July as a precaution.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so I don't believe that there's any unfinished business that we had. Any-
One thing, Mayor.
Was it unfinished business?
I consider unfinished business.
Is it unfinished business? Unfinished business is related to anything that we have done in a previous meeting, whether it's an ordinance or a resolution.
Yes. Yes.
Great.
I want to thank our farmers market team for continuing to press on and have the farmers market on that date. That's a great team. I was at a couple of meetings, so thank you very much.
Actually, that is not unfinished business.
We
Let's
discussed.
be
and-
fair.
No,
Let's
we
be
did-
fair. Unfinished
It's on the
business
line.
is unfinished business.
on the
You're
line.
definitely
I'll
in the
give it-
gray zone.
give-
You're in the zone, council. Meeting dates. Our next date is scheduled on Tuesday, June 9th, executive session at 6:30, regular session is at 7:30. And I believe that that is all that we have this evening. So I will,
Zip it.
okay. Okay, I will make, I could have, may I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
John was going to do it.
Mr. Bonovich?
Yes.
Ms. Richmond?
Yes.
Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Absolutely.